We had some good news to report in 2015 and some challenges we'll face as we move forward in 2016. Well, there we go. And this is our annual report. Part of the reason it takes several months to get the annual report is because the state and federal reporting doesn't get all the factual numbers back to us until last month. So we pretty much have the report ready to go until we get those numbers, and now that we have them, we can present it forward. This is just an overview of the calls for service. The one thing to note here in the city of Shelton, we had over 10,000 calls for service, which is over 1,000 calls more than we had the prior year. Out of that 10,000 calls, only 25 of those resulted in reportable use of force. And 18 of those involved somebody under the influence of alcohol or narcotics and occurred between 5 p.m. and 5 a.m. And I think that's a pretty impressive thing to point out there, that 10,000 calls for service with these officers, only 25 of them resulted in that. 5% of all of our calls were 911 calls. Again, calls for service about 10,200. And this gives you a breakdown of where and when they occurred. And again, it's in the annual report, and they'll get copies of that. Our SWAT and our canine teams, Lily, our canine, has revamped her training in the last year. She's now out at Tumwater on a regular basis doing regular training. And in 2015, she worked 27 cases and recovered 590 grams of methamphetamine. So that's pretty incredible for the dog. Of course, the handler had a little bit to do with that too, but we give the dog the credit. The school resource officer, Britt Denning was our school resource officer last year, handled 344 calls for service. As you can see, that's up as well. Here's our NIBRS reporting, our National Incident-Based Reporting System. The unique thing about NIBRS is it doesn't go on just one call or one incident. If we have an incident and it has several crimes involved in it, each of those gets reported. So sometimes it gets the illusion that we're reporting all of this crime, when actually one incident, it could be a car theft, a robbery, and a pursuit, all get reported as individual crimes in that through NIBRS. The positive thing we look at here is in 2015, we had an incredible drop in a few categories, and we had some increases in some that we're working on still. Our aggravated assault increased a little bit. I don't look at the percentages because with small numbers like this, the percentages look incredible. But if we had 8 more assaults than we did last year, or in 2014, we attributed most of that to domestic violence. If we look at people and property crimes in this, you can see we had 73 less burglaries in the city of Shelton in 2015 than we did in 2014. And 53 less thefts. So our property crimes, we put a big dent in them with all the stuff we did on the streets in 2015. Our drug and narcotics violations, as you can see, we had a little bit of a drop in that, but at the beginning of the year, we did a warrant sweep with the sheriff's office and some other things out there focused on some of the narcotic use, which we feel dropped most of our property crimes throughout the year. As you can see, heroin almost doubles every other drug of use in this city. Vandalism, we saw a little bit of an increase in vandalism in 2015. The good news is in 2016 we're seeing less this year than we did in 2015. As you can see, the weapons of choice are usually hands and fists and feet in any of the assaults we've had in town. Motor vehicle thefts. We put a significant dent in motor vehicle thefts in 2015. However, we're seeing an increase in 2016 as are surrounding counties in the area. Most of those, again, being from businesses. So your large parking lots are losing cars out of them. If you drive a late 90s Honda, get a club. Get one of the locks that you can put on that Honda, because typically the Hondas are the most stolen cars that we've seen this year and last year. These are the different breakdowns of the thefts we had. Most of them have been vehicle parts or theft from vehicles and shoplifting. The burglary offenses, as you can see, they put a huge dent in our residential burglaries with the work they did. The shoplifts, the commercial burglaries increased slightly, but the other burglaries dropped dramatically. And these are employees of the year for last year. We had Mark Hinton. He had more DUIs than anybody around the county last year.
He arrested?
Okay, let me clarify that. Yes, he was not arrested for. He made the arrest for DUIs. And as such, we used our DUI enforcement money that we had saved up when we bought our new vehicle. We put DUI on it and gave it to the Officer of the Year last year. So he's driving that car around. Our Reserve Officer, Charles Taylor, is now a provisional officer with us, filling a spot until we get a permanent employee on. And Sarah, who creates this annual report every year, was Employee of the Year last year. This is some of the stats on our alarm letters, records checks. As you can see, you have your records checks increased dramatically, and the reports processed. That's quite a bit for those two young ladies up there to work on every year. I think that'll do it. So that's just a quick snapshot and overview. If I can give you just what we've noticed this year. We had less stolen cars last year and the rest were up. However, in 2016, the increases we're seeing now is motor vehicle theft. Again, I said old model Hondas are the ones that are typically being stolen. In February of 2016, this year, we took 98 more police reports on swing shift alone than we did in February of 2015. That's one shift took 100 more police reports, and that's reports. That's not just the calls for service. That can tell you how our calls for service are going and what we're seeing this year in 2016. And our calls for service have increased by 50 in the first 2 months of the year as I wrote this one. Detectives have been clearing our backlog cases, and they've written more search warrants in 3 months than we did in all of 2015. So they're moving forward with that. So we do have some challenges we'll face, of course. MACECOM has stopped entering warrants, so now warrants have fallen on us for the court entering warrants. We have a new part-time employee that is helping us take care of the warrants and getting that taken care of. And we're moving forward on Neighborhood Watch. We have 2 recognized. The third one just called me up today, and we're looking for anybody who had or would be interested in starting a Neighborhood Watch in their neighborhoods to give us a call, and we'll be happy to come out and set it up for them. That's all I have, unless there are any questions.
Any questions for Chief?
Did you say Honda is the number one?
That's what we're seeing in this area, yes.
I have a 92 Honda that sits in front of my house. It doesn't run. Why hasn't anyone stolen it?
Probably because it doesn't run.
It's sitting there.
Most of what we're seeing is not the cars being stolen for stripped or parts or stereos, as you would typically think of. Most of them are just being used for transport. Thurston County has its own auto theft task force going on over there trying to combat what they're seeing over there. But a lot of these we're recovering either locally used as transport or over in Thurston as transport back and forth.
Okay. So are those cars just easier to steal, or what is the reason?
That's my understanding. I haven't tried, but my understanding is they're easier to steal than your typical car.
Okay.
Well, I would say that from people I talk to, you're doing a great job with your department, and we thank you very much, and hope that things keep moving in a positive trend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.